You're watching Camnet TV, not just another channel. Welcome to our news. The headlines. Deputy Police IG Charity KATANGA warns people peddling misinformation ahead of the pause. The expiry of medicines at ZAMMSA annoys stakeholders. UTH justifies failure to pay gratuity to workers. And in international news, Somali opposition leaders no longer recognize president. And in sports news, COVID-19 prevents Copa Queens from participating in the Turkish assignment. For the details, join me shortly after this break.
2021 is finally here. Zambia is at the crossroads heading towards general elections this August. In the world where fake news, biased reporting on national issues has become the order of the day, in a world where social media in most cases spills lies and exaggerated information, insightful coverage, Zambia needs one media. Living in a country where people are slowly promoting tribalism, hatred, bitterness and revenge, political temperature is heating up and people's hearts are perplexed. Zambia needs one media. Zambia being a Christian nation living under the lordship of Jesus Christ, the nation cannot afford a compromised gospel. Zambia needs a prophetic media house. For hope, peace and unity, Zambia needs Camnet television. For non-biased, factual reporting, balanced opinion, accurate news coverage, Zambia needs Camnet television. For national projects and development of our beloved country Zambia, watch Camnet TV on channel 274 DSTV, channel 98 on GoTV and channel 106 on Topstar. Remember, Camnet TV is not just another channel.
With the details, my name is Liseli Kanyanga. The Zambia Federation of Disability Organizations, ZAFOD, has called on the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, to allow voters to review and correct, if necessary, their disability status during the provisional voters register inspection period. ZAFOD Federal Director Justin Bakali says the call is based on the ZAFOD's findings from its select observation of voter registration, where ZAFOD observers noted that disability types were not consistently registered. On December 20th, 2020, the Zambia Federation of Disability Organizations, ZAFOD, deployed 4 members of its technical working group following the extension of the voter registration period to monitor the voter registration extension exercise. In this monitoring period, it was observed that multiple registration centers visited were not accessible to those with physical disabilities. Meanwhile, ZAFOD is also concerned with the lack of a systematic and a complete recording of voters' disability types being consistent with the nationwide observation findings published by the Christian Churches Monitoring Group, CCMG. The organization has since called on ECZ to look into this matter so that persons with disabilities are not disfranchised.
Zambia Federation of Disability Organizations, ZAFOD, would call upon the Electoral Commission of Zambia to allow voters to review and collect, if necessary, their disability status in the voter verification exercise period. This request emanates from the observations ZAFOD undertook, where it was observed that ECZ was not capturing disability types in the voter registration exercise. Although we would want to applaud the Electoral Commission of Zambia for incorporating disability types in the voter registration exercise, ZAFOD notes with concerns that ECZ officials failed to capture disability types in the exercise, with some officials registering only those disabilities that they were able to assess themselves, such as visually impaired and those with physical disabilities. We feel that this actually would disadvantage a number of persons with disabilities, because the Electoral Commission of Zambia will not be able to prepare or provide reasonable accommodation for persons with disabilities on the election day.
Deputy Inspector General of Police Charity Katanga has acknowledged the need to curtail misinformation, saying it may be detrimental to the country's peace and stability ahead of the August polls. Speaking during the launch of the PANOS Institute Southern Africa and the Bloggers of Zambia project to curb misinformation and promote democracy, Mrs. Katanga says addressing misinformation requires concerted effort to combat. Mrs. Katanga says the police is doing everything possible to avert political violence, which sometimes comes about due to misinformation. And Mrs. Katanga has called for closer collaboration through the engagement and consultations with the media in view of harmonizing work relations to avoid misunderstanding and infringement of each other's responsibilities. And PANOS Executive Director Vusumuzi Sifele says the country has seen a rise in the use of misinformation to deceive members of the general public due to bad intentions. More in this report.
Misinformation is defined as false or inaccurate information, especially that which is deliberately intended to deceive. If not well handled, misinformation can lead to instability, thus affecting governments, enterprises, and consumers alike. With an ever-evolving challenge to differentiate the truth from lies, sharing unchecked misinformation establishes the false narratives that appear real, which then go viral. But to combat misinformation, there is a need to take an approach that has the government and the civil society sectors working in unison. And as Zambia goes to the polls in August this year, it is highly expected that misinformation will be on the rise. But in order to mitigate this, the PANOS Institute Southern Africa and the Bloggers of Zambia have launched a program aimed at combating misinformation and promoting democracy. Speaking during the meeting in Lusaka Tuesday, Deputy Inspector General of Police Charity Katanga acknowledged the need to curtail misinformation, saying it is detrimental to the country's peace and stability ahead of the general elections. She says addressing misinformation requires concerted efforts to combat among stakeholders.
Because some of the offenses now we are looking at the Section 57. Yeah, I'm sure the journalists have read Section 57 of the Penal Code. It talks about you have issues of sedition, you have issues of treason, and others. Among that, you have issues of political, those that are perpetrating ethnicity differences, tribal, and all that. It is bordered into this. So let us collaborate. We appreciate this, but this cancer is so serious. So we'll follow it with keen interest to ensure those that want to perpetrate violence through misinformation are dealt with. And we'll take keen interest, especially that people are contesting for political power.
Mrs. Katanga assured cordial relations with the media.
It's just that, so that whatever you are doing is transparent. Because your work, you cannot be hidden. You need to cover it and everyone is able to see. But when you relate to the holders of these offices, the Commissioner of Police or the officers commanding at a district, sometimes even at the level of the officer in charge, depending on what you are covering, maybe you are covering the level of the district, have that collaboration, then you are going to find that your work is easier. Because others, it's not always that arrest is necessary. Sometimes we can simply say what you have committed is an offense. Next time don't repeat it. But now, if you have that kind of bossy and you want to show that, then a constable on the ground will show you that he has 10 powers of arrest. So what is just important is what? Rapport and a lot of sensitization.
Meanwhile, PANOS Executive Director Vusumuzi Sifile notes that the country has seen a rise in the use of misinformation to deceive members of the general public.
Where criminal activity has taken place, the law takes its course. But like I mentioned, that it's the online space is developing at a very fast rate, which requires all of us to be alert we identify some of the purveyors of misinformation. In some cases, we engage them. In some cases, we engage those who can help to stop them from purveying misinformation.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
The University Teaching Hospital UTH says it has faced the payment of gratuities to contractual workers at the institution. UTH Director Clinical Care and Chief Medical Superintendent Alex Makupe has told Camnet News that the institution is unable to pay all its contractual workers their gratuities at once due to limited resources. Dr. Makupe said this in response to complaints raised by contractual workers at the hospital that management has been unable to settle 2 years gratuities despite signing new contracts. And Dr. Makupe says the institution will continue making replacements whenever vacancies are identified. He says contractual workers who have served longer will be prioritized when it comes to filling the identified vacancies. Details in this report.
Of every hard work comes in many forms, but the end results put a smile on the face of the laborer. Contractual workers at the University Teaching Hospital had earlier informed Camnet News that they have not been paid their rewards, commonly known as gratuities, for the 2-year service they rendered to the institution. The workers complained that some of their colleagues have died, while others have ended up contracting COVID-19, yet there is no news of them receiving their gratuities anytime soon.
Tinambia na tumu contract moja baada pasa graduate. So paena sila contract wanatuza tembekezani for 1 month. Tsakushtani prepare ndaramazana. So paena sila 1 month tinambekeza so natipase ndarama. So bena ngo banaenda kufunza pamene kuja bana bauza ati embekezani. So chameti pemba chakuti ba UTH stiza pale batika because bena ngo bana saving from 2018 bana mwarira bena ngo bakufana ma TB bena ngo bagwira na corona yameneyi.
And UTH Director Clinical Care and Chief Medical Superintendent Dr. Alex Makupe has told Camnet News that the institution is no longer capable of paying all contractual workers their gratuities at once.
I do also acknowledge that in trying to fill up the spaces in terms of human resource needs in the area of general workers, we've had to hire some general workers over a quite significant number of years at the UTHs, and they need gratuity. Through the locally generated funds, the University Teaching Hospitals has been paying gratuity over the years, but this year, last year, what we've done is to stage the payment. So we cannot pay the entire group of general workers, there are many. So what we've done is to phase it, get one group, pay some lump sum, and then mobilize more money, and then pay the remaining group. So UTH management remains committed to ensuring that gratuity is paid to our people, and that there should be no much worry. And what we are going to be doing as well is to continue making replacements where we identify a vacancy for general workers under government. We try to pull those that have been with us longer and then putting them on the government pay. And so we are committed to ensuring that we reduce the number of casual workers at the University Teaching Hospital and getting them under full government employment.
The doctor has since thanked the workers for the good work attitude towards the patients and the effort they have continued to render the institution. Prudence Chota for Camnet TV News.
Health Minister Jonas Chanda says government will not rush to procure the COVID-19 vaccines without conducting proper investigations into the variants of the pandemic in the country. Dr. Chanda says the decision around the COVID-19 vaccine deployment will be based on scientific evidence in total transparency, meant to ensure the safety and efficacy of the vaccine is recommended for the deployment once cabinet approval is given. In the meantime, Zambia has in the last 24 hours recorded 12 new COVID-19 deaths and 1,037 new cases. Prudence Chota gives us more.
Many views have continued to surface on when Zambia plans to procure its COVID-19 vaccines and from which country the vaccines will be sourced. While the debate has continued to emerge, government says it is not in a hurry to acquire the vaccines without doing a thorough investigation on the variants of the virus currently terrorizing the country.
If you hurry, you sink. Science is not witchcraft. With witchcraft, you just pop up, you fly. But with science, things are happening. We have to be very, very careful. We don't want to endanger the Zambians. We don't want Zambians to be used as guinea pigs. You're rushing to bring in a Changanya vaccine, vaccinate everyone, then you find that it doesn't work and then it has side effects. We will not allow that. And the president has been very categorical. Protect the safety of Zambians, ensure the vaccine is safe. So, yes, the reason why I said this one has to go to cabinet. You remember, at the time when I was appointed minister 1 month ago, we are not in a hurry to say by next week there should be a vaccine. We have seen some countries which rushed for a vaccine, but they cannot use the vaccine. Because they got in a vaccine, they found that the variant they have cannot respond to that vaccine. Those are huge losses. Thankfully, very few people were injected. So, like I said, be reassured. Speed kills, but we also don't need to be too slow.
And Zambia has recorded 12 new COVID-19 deaths and 1,037 new cases in the last 24 hours.
In the past 24 hours, we recorded 1,037 new cases out of a total of 6,173 tests conducted. The cumulative number of confirmed cases recorded to date to 64,610. 12 new deaths. 12 new deaths were reported from Copperbelt 5, Lusaka 5, Central Province 1, and Northern Province 1. The cumulative number of COVID-19 related deaths recorded to date now stands at 881.
The wider community spread of the virus has continued to be attributed to the negligence by the public to adhere to the state preventive guidelines.
Our biggest concern currently is the widespread community spread of coronavirus, which is being exacerbated by the poor adherence to public health guidelines by most of our people. We are working day and night to address this issue. We are carrying out contact tracing of COVID-positive persons and their close contacts within the communities in order to break the chain of transmission. And I wish to encourage all well-meaning Zambians to disclose to their close contacts once they test for COVID-19 positive. There should be no stigma because someone has tested positive for COVID-19. And then it will be very helpful to your close contacts, your families, your friends, to disclose to them that you have tested positive, so that way we can do the contact tracing and test those who are close to you. So testing positive for COVID is not a death sentence.
Prudence Chota for Camnet TV News.
Various stakeholders have expressed disappointment over Monday's revelations by the Minister of Health, Dr. Jonas Chanda, that essential medicines have gone to waste at the Zambia Medicines and Medical Supplies Agency, ZAMMSA, formerly called Zambia Medical Stores. In an interview with Camnet TV, former Pharmaceutical Society of Zambia President Jeremy Kanyika says the danger in leaving expired medicines to chance is that it may find itself in the wrong hands, thereby endangering the lives of people who may consume the expired drugs. Mr. Kanyika has meanwhile called for a serious probe as to why the medicines were left to expire when various health centers did not have most of these medicines. More in this report.
A paper in the hand written with ink in the name of a prescription is a daily thing for many people that frequent health facilities countrywide. This is so because these health facilities have no medicines to give. Instead, people are asked to buy their own medicines, with the most common drug to be given is paracetamol, commonly known as Panadol. With all these complaints from the patients and the caregivers, medicines were being kept under lock and key at the medical stores now called ZAMMSA to expire. This is a scandal that was unearthed yesterday by Health Minister Jonas Chanda when he visited medical stores facility.
The real danger, apart from the incompetence in procurement and keeping those things expired, the money that government is wasted and the denial of services to the patient, the real danger is that with the corruption that is rampant in some of our people who are pilfering drugs, they'll come and take this same expired thing. It will find itself in a private pharmacy somewhere, and unsuspecting Zambians are going to buy this. When it expired 4 years ago, you are keeping it here. So I just hope there are not those cartels that are getting expired products and going to use them now in pharmacies. They're killing the people. That will be criminal negligence, and will deal very firmly and very strongly against those kind of people.
And commenting on the matter, former Pharmaceutical Society of Zambia President Jerome Kanyeka said what happened at the medical storage facility is a clear demonstration of Zambia's poor procurement system, which has the potential to put the lives of many in danger.
These may find themselves in the hands of wrong people who may end up selling the same medication to the members of the public. And as you know very well that once the medication have expired, it means that they lose that you cannot guarantee the safety of the medication. They tend out to be poisons that can be very dangerous and can harm your body organs like the kidney, the liver, and other organs like the skin. So these are some of the worries that we usually have when we see that expired medicine are left like that.
And Mr. Kanyeka also called on government to investigate this matter before destroying the meds so that the truth can be established.
I think we need first to probe to see what led to the expiry of those medications, knowing very well that in most of the health facilities, medications were not made available, but we had the medication expired at the central warehouse. We need to find out exactly what really happened, and this all indicates to what I've been talking about in terms of how rotten the procurement system were at the Ministry of Health headquarters. But it's good that now the procurement system has gone to medical stores.
The Minister of Health yesterday directed management at ZAMMSA to submit to his office a comprehensive report on drugs that have expired and those that have been recalled and the amount involved before the close of business on Tuesday. Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Meanwhile, Golden Party of Zambia President Jackson Silavwe has called on the relevant authorities to discipline all the officers found wanting at ZAMMSA. Mr. Silavwe says it is unbelievable that essential drugs can expire on the shelves of medical stores and yet hospitals and health facilities throughout the country experience perpetual shortages whilst patients are dismissed with mere prescriptions. He says the findings by the Minister of Health are not only worrying but painful and a clear case of unpatriotism when the majority of citizens are dying due to non-availability of the same drugs. The opposition leader notes that the report also vindicates their call for a thorough probe of the health sector, as it also exposes the lack of seriousness by officials to properly account for public resources.
It is heartbreaking. It is a mockery to our people. It is a waste of taxpayers' money. And as a party, we are very clear. The people involved, and in fact, we can rightfully call this a cartel. The people involved in this health cartel must be brought to justice. They must be brought to book. And as a party, we want to encourage the new Minister of Health. He should not look to the left, not to the right. He should focus on the people of Zambia. And we will support him as a party to the hilt when he does well. And this is the kind of politics that GPZ espouses. When you do right, we will applaud you. When you do wrong, we will point it out. And we want to assure our colleagues in government that you can depend on us when it comes to providing checks and balances. We need to develop a Zambia where we talk to one another. Dr. Jonas Chanda, so hats off to you. You have demonstrated leadership and courage and you have the support of the Zambian people, that I can assure you.
The Zambia Land Alliance has called on the Ministry of Lands to enhance sensitization on the ongoing land titling program to ensure that people are not being taken advantage of by being subjected to unknown charges. Alliance Executive Director Patrick Musole says the move to put land on title is commendable, hence the need to ensure that the program is well implemented to benefit the citizens. According to the Ministry of Lands, 300,000 land titles are set to be issued across the country under the National Land Titling Project. And Mr. Musole notes that the land titling initiative is commendable as it will enable people to secure their land.
The land titling program is being done by a private company contracted by government, by the Ministry of Lands. We are not part of it, but we are aware about it. The thing about the National Land Titling Program, which is currently going on, is that they are not allocating new land. They are simply documenting land which is not documented. It is already state land, but it's not documented, and so all they are doing is they are now issuing titles. So that people who were living without titles and can now have titles, which we think is a good move. It's a good move in the sense that people's land tenure security is being enhanced. It's also a good move in the sense that the cost of acquiring title under that program is actually subsidized. I think if I remember well, people are supposed to pay something as little as between 1,000 and 3,000 kwacha, which is very, very minimal compared to getting a title under normal circumstances. We think it's a good thing. They just need to work on the irregularities to ensure that the titles are given to the rightful owners of the land and not let them be taken over by other people, other influential people. It's a good move because it will empower citizens to have tenure security to their land, because they've lived on this land for a long time without any documentation to show for it.
We now take our first set of commercials. Do stay with us as we have more interesting stories lined up for you.
Consistency and being helpful is encouraged at Chadley House School.
Good morals are held in high esteem.
The first thing that we normally look at is the social distancing, hand washing, also sanitizing.
The Chadley House School curriculum looks at two pathways, which are academic and vocational.
The Chadley House School fleet of buses operate on various routes.
The Chadley House School e-learning program has been time efficient and learner-centered.
Well, at Chadley House School, e-learning was done in two phases. We had one on WhatsApp and another on Google Classroom.
The kind of sporting activities that we offer at Chadley House School are basketball, volleyball, football, netball, chess, and also swimming.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, downlights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
And why do you look so pale and busy scratching yourself?
Well, Amwandi, you know my skin is very sensitive. I've tried all the skin products and nothing seems to work.
Have you tried Oracle Pure Glycerin?
Oracle Pure Glycerin? What's that?
Just give me a minute.
Oracle Pure Glycerin gives your skin a youthful and healthy glow.
Ish, you're glowing. Don't tell me.
Yes!
I already know the secrets.
Oracle Pure Glycerin!
Try Oracle Pure Glycerin for that perfect skin.
Hello, have you heard about MISIKA? Do you know that you can advertise for as low as 150 kwacha for 30 seconds? Well, MISIKA is here. Advertise on MISIKA between 17 hours and 18 hours. Just tell us about the services that you offer and we'll gladly put you on the market. For more details, you can contact
+260 953 995099. +260 962 444 726 or +260 971 177 467.
MISIKA, allowing your business to grow.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with the news. Residents of Mumbwas, Nambala and Naluvi wards are demanding for government to immediately work on the Mumbwa Blue Lagoon Road, whose lack of bridges has made life unbearable for them. And Mumbwa Central Member of Parliament Credo Nanjua has demanded for answers on the whereabouts of the 192 million United States dollars earmarked for the works on the road through a public-private partnership arrangement, as announced on the floor of the House by former Infrastructure Minister Ronald Chitotela in 2018. The Mumbwa Blue Lagoon Road, which connects Mumbwa to Itejiteji and Mwembezi, is in a deplorable state, needing urgent intervention. More in this report.
A good road network is said to be a catalyst to national development, but one wonders if this could be said in reference to Mumbwa district. Bad road network has continued to characterize this area, even though government is trying to play its part in infrastructure development. This is the Mumbwa Blue Lagoon Road, which connects Mumbwa to Itezedezi. In other areas, is said to be in a deplorable state and has made it difficult for residents to cope, especially the farmers. Area councillor and some residents are calling on the authorities to look into this matter with the urgency it deserves.
kuina mtumbu wako nyakubwezwa mulwahi kwamba mumushishe kuchipatira chikando uchakumombwa hospital so bobulwahi inkulumende tulelilira kwamba aba tuyohwerehe kumagani amugwagwa wezo
anyaka wachiro sombenda akayakuhura vaye mamyota basika kuma 18 awo so bakare tarota bakakagirwa kurandu zena vamwe vari kuyako kukumumbwa vakadzokera kwena kuya vakarirwa kurandu vana chikoro havaro kuina vanchi vadzokerapo vakontovaranduka kuya kukuya.
The dire situation, which has left most people in limbo, is affecting more than 100,000 people who have been cut off. An area member of parliament, Credo Nanjua, has wondered where the funds allocated to construct the road have disappeared to.
In 2017, the government is reported to have signed a contract under PPP with another company which was mentioned in the House. The minister informed the House and informed the public through Parliament that a contract of $190 million has been signed in 2017 for this road to be constructed to bituminous standard. But up to now, we have not seen anything. We don't know why government is quiet about it, whether the partner who had partnered with government under PPP has withdrawn. But we are not told. So as far as we are concerned, this road is on contract to be constructed to bituminous standard. So government must explain why this road is still like this. In 2019, we were told a stretch of 50 kilometers would be worked on at a sum of 52 million kwacha. But up to now, that contract has not been signed. We are wondering why government has not signed through local government. We don't even know now which is the position.
Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News.
Some residents of Msanzala constituency in Eastern Province have passed a vote of no confidence in incumbent Member of Parliament Peter Daka as the intra-party competition for adoption heightens in the area. During a PF meeting organized by the aspiring Member of Parliament from Msanzala constituency organized by Elias Daka, the people accused the serving ward councillors and Member of Parliament of poorly representing them. The people of Sichilima village blame their leaders for failing to address water challenges and to safeguard the plight of persons with cross-cutting disabilities. Meanwhile, Mr. Elias Daka donated 22 iron sheets, nails and a wire worth 7,000 kwacha to go towards the construction of a house for health staff at Sichilima Health Post.
Ndilani mutilola lini dandaulo yangu nyakuti amina maedi manali nkezi hapa ali mnkongole kwa yano abeti alipo maboho ndalama ziliyawanikale namba kulabila kwa sata zimai tuka zilofo ya pa boho ni mozi tumwela pa ng'ombe nkuku nkumba sate bantu mutiteteze munjira yoti yani zonsa imbo tumwela pama lamba amene aba maedi manali apa aliye mtendere kuli seta zimai chifuka tuka 0401 tusiyana lume tukiolimbira na manzi pa boho koma ndalama nizinyinji zititai tu mtilongeleni kuno kuntu tiliko na vilema ulema nunyinji kulibala olema na maganizo kulichilema chitini nacho chinikadanda ule pano chienda lini mwa kutua nako kutipelekira kwa maganizo pamene yapo nanguti dandaule mutilola lini so papa mwawela takulola ni voti tikampeni kwa mamka tikumbuke lini
kansera nao ni zinati atuwaona na lini tungo kufuatile kutoti tina kansera kwa matuwaona lini
kapena makolo muli pano pamene sitina langule bwino tingo pemba kuti asina chitile dala kwa matenzo funo kuti tipange kuti tizimveke aika
Lazimai
Marketeers at Maseja Market in Solwezi district of Northwestern Province have complained over the poor state of the market shelter. Marketeers said that since the 2016 campaign, when they began construction, it has not yet been completed. The marketeers feel if the shelter continues to be in the same state, it may collapse and cause an accident. More in this report.
Markets can help achieve a variety of goals, including placemaking, employment, and entrepreneurship. In Zambia, just like other countries, markets play an important role in empowerment of citizens. Most women earn a living in markets. Through their businesses, the people are able to take their children to school and pay bills. Efforts to make their trading place habitable by the government and other stakeholders are always welcome, but it is always agonizing when the project is not actualized on time. Marketeers at Messenger Market in Solwezi district of Northwestern Province have complained of the poor state of the market shelter. They are concerned that the shelter has not been finalized since its construction commenced during the 2016 general election campaign period, and the country will soon be going to the polls.
pano kewe na kuiyanene market mwine uwe na kusunke na kya kine kapende kunshwa watu pukakala so tusakufuiramu kewe na kutako ne mana nebe yatu bapima bakopa baya yo basakuyaloronse sakabe tubefamba amba tukabika yonkayo myaka nakupwa kana baketushimikiranganya mwaka ketu ayukane
asante mwana nobe amwaba nombe na kwamba pano market ya mesinja market ine bakafumende kwata numuruka tajo ano market yose aperere kwa kuma ya kutu ate ba market tonga poto atendekezire neno shika betu tungire sheota ya kubana ngarero zino yakosha kufyata mu konkiri kafamo byose kafamo bero byetu baije bapima bomani mali bemupa tusakuwamisha ne bakasala kwambamba sakuingira yebe yakuyabaja so abene kupembera campaign nimino bakabepeka kuleta tu na tu cement tu abone tukamatoya yakuingira ke tukaswani mambo mwite mwane babene ngemazi mwate mwabose ngine ate mwitu kwasha ngike sitwayanda binone twayanda gavumenti twayanda mambo zose zo mkongo amba yakuruka bino mukeye ngamba mwane bafu abyetu keti mukaruba neki market kekiziburongo ne ebe kitunga burongo ne mwane kutunga batungire tuburongo bakuwamisha kufa.
Efforts to get the position of the Solwezi Municipal Council proved futile by broadcast time. Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
The Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, DMMU, in Mazabuka has commenced the relocation of over 1,000 people who have settled along the Kafua riverbanks to rescue them from the anticipated floods that are likely to affect the areas predicted by the Zambia Meteorological Department. District Disaster Management Committee Chairperson Jane Chirwa said the move is meant to prevent damages, loss of life and property should the area get flooded. Mrs. Chirwa said with the effective early warning systems in place, it is important to act before a calamity happens. She said government spends a lot of money in mitigating disasters, including those that can be avoided. She said her office will not take anything to chance and wait for the lives of the people to be at risk to act. Meanwhile, Mazabuka Town Council Chairperson Vincent Lilanda has thanked government for the timely distribution of washable face masks and other COVID-19 prevention materials to the district. Mr. Lilanda said the move has helped the district not to have difficulties in reopening schools after the announcement by the president.
Province is one of the provinces which was hard hit with the drought during the 2017, 2019, 2019 farming season. And as a result, most of last year, we distributed a lot of relief food to our people because they didn't have food. But of course, this year, we have been blessed with very good rainfall. But of course, the rainfall has come with floods. So in order to prepare, because we are one of the districts who have been put on alert of experiencing flash floods by DMMU. So we are on high alert, and we have alerted our people living along the Kafue River to move away from the river banks because of the flash floods that we're expecting as a district. So in order to prepare ourselves to meet the needs of our people in case of flash floods, as you know, usually when floods come, they also bring hunger in our homes. So as DMMU, I have in stock presently 1,200 bags, that is 1,200 by 25 kg of breakfast meal on standby, just in case of a calamity hitting us. So that's how ready we are. Then of course we had a situation with about 179 families in Nanga, which were hit by floods early last year. So I'm happy to report that the Office of the Vice President sent to my office about 1,800 bags of cement, which we have already distributed to the affected families and the churches which were involved in those floods. And they were all given bags of cement so that they can rebuild their structures.
We We take another set of commercials, but still to come is international and sports news. Do not go away.
Take control of your tax planning. Avoid penalties and interest. Returns and payments due by the 10th of the month for declarations of the previous month's transactions are pay as you earn and skills development levy. Returns and payments due by the 14th of the month are turnover tax, withholding tax, mineral royalty tax, tourism levy, gaming and baiting, presumptive tax. Returns and payments for all withholding VAT agents is the 16th of the month. Returns and payments for all VAT registered suppliers is the 18th of the month. Submit the returns and make payments on or before the respective due dates to avoid penalties on the late submission of returns and payments of taxes. Further, note that VAT tax invoices for all business-to-business and business-to-government transactions must bear the TPIN of the buyer without fail. Zambia Revenue Authority. My tax, your tax, our destiny.
To create a positive difference in people's lives, one must first understand the way people live. At Savenda, we're here for our community, our partners, and our future, as a nation and as a continent.
Back in 1997, we decided we were going to create this family journey into a bigger opportunity, and created a business called Savenda, which meant save nations to develop Africa.
It's always important to give back to the people. The government cannot do everything, but as business entities, we'll be able to reach a lot of people.
From our humble beginnings in the telecoms and mining sectors to our work in energy and development projects, we know how important it is to be true to our roots.
Our services have to be diversified so that we don't depend on one income stream. Back in the village, I was growing up hunting and doing everything that a village boy would like to do. When you're hunting, you don't depend on one trap, for example. You have to have many traps. So those survival skills brought into the business created opportunities that we learned from a young age that you can't survive with just one product. Savenda Group involves Savenda Management, which is a consulting, Savenda Express, which is a corporate branding company, Savenda Electric, which is a manufacturer of energy-saving bulbs, Savenda General Insurance, which is a general insurance company, Savenda Fresh Produce, Cyber Africa, which is a center for just dealing with cyber security.
Now, Savenda is combining local knowledge with international expertise. It's time to be a part of Zambia's rising success and Africa's exciting future.
We are a gateway into Africa, and now we are praying with global companies who are coming to Zambia for opportunities and to look for companies that are homegrown, and we are proud to be one of those.
"2021 is finally here. Zambia is at the crossroads heading towards general elections this August. In the world where fake news, biased reporting on national issues has become the order of the day, in a world where social media in most cases spills lies and exaggerated information, insightful coverage, Zambia needs one media. Living in a country where people are slowly promoting tribalism, hatred, bitterness and revenge, political temperature is heating up and people's hearts are perplexed. Zambia needs one media. Zambia being a Christian nation living under the lordship of Jesus Christ, the nation cannot afford a compromised gospel. Zambia needs a prophetic media house. For hope, peace and unity, Zambia needs Camnet television. For non-biased, factual reporting, balanced opinion, accurate news coverage, Zambia needs Camnet television. For national projects and development of our beloved country Zambia, watch Camnet TV on channel 274 DSTV, channel 98 on GoTV and channel 106 on Topstar. Remember, Camnet TV is not just another channel.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with the news. In international news, Somalia's opposition leaders say they no longer recognize President Mohamed after his term expired without new election. He has been embroiled in dispute with the regional leaders, which has prevented a vote to find his replacement. The United Nations is calling for a quick resolution to the crisis. In other news, South Africa says it will stagger the release of the Oxford AstraZeneca jab after trials showed it gives little protection against the highly contagious local variant. The vaccine was only minimally effective in preventive mild to moderate illnesses against the dominant South African variant. South Africa is also looking to other manufacturers such as Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson, and the government says it expects to receive these new vaccines in due time. We monitored Al Jazeera.
It was supposed to be presidential election day in Somalia. But following a dispute over the way the poll was to be organised, it hasn't happened. Instead, a coalition of opposition candidates have now declared the government of President Farmacio illegitimate. In an interview to be broadcast on Talk to Al Jazeera, the Foreign Minister, Mohamed Abdelrazak, told me that's wrong. The government will stay in office until an election can be held. Well, after that time, after that 4 years, he is no longer legitimately the president.
No, there cannot be a vacuum. The federal parliament in both chambers have signed, voted for by a majority of 215 in the lower house and 40 senators to have a law that would allow for the parliament with its full authority to continue with its mandate and for all the institutions of the federal government to continue.
The UN is urging all sides to go back to the negotiating table, but it won't rule on the constitutional position.
It is not for the United Nations in any setting to anoint a government declared legitimate or not legitimate. There are institutions that are in place, that have been agreed to, that have been negotiated. We believe that Somali political leaders need to come together.
Whether you think the government is legitimate or illegitimate, Somalia now finds itself in a constitutional grey zone. This in what was supposed to be a pivotal year for the troubled country. This year, AMISOM, the 2,000-strong African Union force, is supposed to hand over its responsibilities to the Somali National Army, but most experts believe it's not yet equipped to take the lead role. The group most likely to benefit from the current political crisis is Al-Shabaab, which continues to fight AMISOM and the Somali government. An indication of the concern of the international community is the fact the UN Security Council will now meet to discuss the situation on Tuesday.
It's here in Nelson Mandela Bay on South Africa's east coast that experts say a new variant of COVID-19 spread rapidly. It's more contagious and accounts for 90% of all new infections. South Africa, with 1 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine, was due to start giving jabs to frontline health workers in a week's time. Studies suggested it would cut the risk of contracting the original variant of coronavirus by 75%. But against the new variant, the vaccine is almost powerless. It's said to have only a 22% chance of stopping mild to moderate infections.
It's a temporary issue that we have to hold on to AstraZeneca. It is temporary.
The study's not clear on how well the vaccine can protect people from severe illness or death. South Africa may be at the tail end of its second wave of COVID-19, but with the approach of colder months, there's real worry of a third wave. There's always been concern South Africa's not vaccinating people quick enough. And with the new variant of the virus, that concern's only growing. Oxford AstraZeneca says it will tweak its existing vaccine to offer more effective protection, but it could be August before that's available. So far, the new variant has spread to at least 29 countries. While existing vaccines may face the challenge of keeping up with mutations, as new variants have already been identified in the UK and Brazil, experts say all is not lost.
Can this vaccine be combined with another vaccine
so that you have two different vaccines that do what we call prime and boost. So you stimulate the immune system at two different points of time, and you do it with slightly different vaccines. So there are many questions still to be asked here.
Given the limited sample size of the trial and the younger, healthier profile of the participants, it's important to determine whether or not the vaccine remains effective in preventing more severe illness.
South Africa is also looking to other manufacturers. The government says it expects to receive new vaccines soon from Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson, and it will continue talks with more suppliers, including in China and Russia. Famida Miller, Al Jazeera, Johannesburg.
We now get into sports news. The Football Association of Zambia, FAZ, says the Copper Queens outing to Turkey for an 8th national international tournament has been cancelled following challenges posed by the COVID-19 situation. Members of the Zambia senior women national team underwent some COVID-19 tests, with the results putting the trip into jeopardy. FAZ General Secretary Adrian Kashala says the trip has been put off on medical grounds, but preparations for the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games will continue. Mr. Kashala says FAZ had learned lessons from the Chile outing for the Copper Queens that saw some players and staff endure prolonged isolation due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Tokyo 2020 Olympic-bound Copper Queens were due to head to Turkey this week, where they were grouped with Equatorial Guinea, Nigeria. Coach Bruce Mape had summoned 32 players, including foreign-based players, for the Turkey outing. Meanwhile, the FAZ General Secretary has warned some clubs against allowing fans in the stadia in breach of the ban by the Ministry of Sports. That sports item brings us to the end of the news, but before we go, a recap of the headlines once again. Deputy Police IG Charity Katanga warns people peddling misinformation ahead of the polls. The expiry of medicines at ZAMMSA annoys stakeholders. UTH justifies failure to pay gratuity to workers. And in international news, Somali opposition leaders no longer recognize president. And in sports news, COVID-19 prevents Copper Queens from participating in the Turkish assignment. We now look at the Camnet verse of the day, which is coming from the book of Luke 16 verse 10, and it reads, "Whoever is faithful in very little is also faithful in much, and whoever is unrighteous in very little is also unrighteous in much." On behalf of the entire news production crew and myself, Liseli Kanyanga, thank you so much for watching Camnet TV News on Camnet TV, not just another channel.